who struggle with their mindset for self-care, providing them with strategies and tools like coaching and travel that help support them. Today, I want to talk to you guys about 3 reasons that self-fulfillment matters for caregivers. I've shared with many of you my journey as a caregiver before and my journey now. And I try to be pretty authentic about it. I try to be as transparent as I comfortably can be about the journey in order to inspire and to show you all how you can manage being a caregiver with grace and not necessarily with ease, but manage doing that as well as caring for a family and caring for a business and caring for yourself. So, today I was thinking a lot about self-fulfillment. I've shared before that my spouse is going through his own cancer journey right now. And a lot of that journey requires me as his wife being there for him, particularly now while he's in the hospital, doing everything that, he needs to do in order to get healthier and in order to be back to himself. And yesterday was a particularly tough day because I just felt like I did not want to go do anything except for take care of me. And I understand that sometimes that can be a hard choice to make for caregivers because they feel guilty. And what happens is that you go down this cycle of guilt and responsibility, which causes caregivers typically to go into these really tough mental states. And what I determined was that, we all understand, especially as caregivers, that it's really hard work. If you are caregiving for a family member, you're often not compensated for that. It's just not a job. It's just not something that you're compensated for, but it is a full-time job. And it is something that you might get a different sort of reward for, a non-tangible reward, but it's not enough when you may have your own personal aspirations and your own dreams and your own goals or things that you have wanted to do prior to being thrust into the role of a caregiver. And what has to happen is that your only recourse for avoiding depression which is what plagues a lot of caregivers, depression or mental overwhelm, is that you have to make sure as a caregiver that you are continuing to pursue the things that fulfill you. This is what really kind of dawned on me the other day because I was trying to figure out, well, why do I feel this way where I just felt like this emptiness, like, oh, I'm chugging along. And I realized it was because I had not done anything for me. And it doesn't necessarily mean something where I'm taking myself out someplace, or you're taking yourself out someplace, or you're going out, for some extravagant experience. It could be something as simple as whatever it is that fulfills you, whatever it is that's going to help you get closer to those goals and those aspirations that you have. So here were 3 reasons why, as a caregiver, you have to make sure that you continue doing the things that fulfill you. And I'm looking at my notes because it's important for me to make sure that I get this across to you so that you can really think about it. If you're having those days where even if you're not caregiving for a sick person, maybe you're caregiving just for your family and you're running, and you're feeling like, I feel so empty right now. It might be that you need to take a step back and ask yourself, well, what have I done for me lately? You remember that song by Janet Jackson? We're just changing the words a little bit. So it's not what have you done for me lately? What have I done for me lately? You might not have done something for yourself lately that fulfills you. And so here are 3 reasons why it's important that you continue to fulfill the things that you need to fulfill for yourself. The first reason is that, listen, time is limited. You only have one life, right? We all only have one life. And your time is finite, no matter what. Okay. So you have to make sure that you're understanding that even though you have to spend a lot of time dealing with your loved one, that you're caregiving for, that you're still setting aside time to do the things that you need to do for yourself. Because you only have a limited amount of time, whether in your life or in your day, it's more important for you to be strategic about how you use that time so that you make sure that you give some time to your loved one, but that you're also giving time to yourself. Because if you feel like you're constantly giving away that time to someone else and you're never giving yourself time, then you're going to feel a little bit empty and you're going to feel unfulfilled if you're not doing one or some of the things that you love that's important to you. Here is reason number 2. Second reason is that it helps you to balance by doing things that fulfill you. It helps you to balance the ebbs and flows in your mental and emotional health, right? Your emotional self-care. When we don't do what we want to do, it can make us feel a little bit cranky. Do you ever, I don't know if any of you ever been on really addicted to exercise where I don't, before when I used to do triathlons, I was so adamant about the days and the times and the amount of exercise I needed to get in. And after a while, it sort of becomes an addiction to you, an addiction for you. And then when you miss a workout session, you get kind of cranky. Have you ever had that? That is something that I think any exercise addict can speak to and, speak on and attest to, that when you stop doing that thing that you've become addicted to, we're not talking about substances, but we're talking about actual activities, things that make you feel good, you start to be cranky. So imagine you're going through every day, and you're not doing something that makes you feel good, something that fulfills you. One little thing. Eventually, you're going to get cranky. Eventually, you're going to get snappy. But if you can find the balance, now maybe you can't give yourself 50% of the time. Maybe you give yourself 30% of the time, one day, and 40% of the time another day, or 50-50, whatever it is. But you're giving yourself something so that you are avoiding the ebbs and flows that happen with your emotional and your mental self-care when you're not doing anything for yourself. So it's super important that you figure out how to find the balance, and if balance is not the right word, how you can manage giving both yourself that time as well as your loved one the time that they need. But it's important for you to give yourself the time to fulfill the things that make you happy. Here's the third reason. The third reason why self-fulfillment matters for, caregivers is that, it allows us to be more supportive of our loved one, for the person that we're caregiving for. We don't feel like, if we're doing something for ourselves, we don't feel like our progress, that we're not having forward progress. So basically, if I do something for me, if I've got this big goal and I do at least one little thing for this goal, towards this goal, I feel like I have forward progress. If I don't do anything towards that goal, I feel stagnant. And it can be whether it is a business goal, whether it is a life goal, whether it's a weight loss goal, whatever it is, some sort of goal. It could just be a social goal. If you don't make some sort of move towards a goal, then you feel stagnant. And then when you feel stagnant like that, you don't necessarily want to support the person that you're caregiving for, because it's not that you won't do it, but you don't feel like doing it because you almost feel like a little bit of resentment. And that's what happens a lot of times with caregivers, is that they get this resentment because they feel like, oh, I'm putting my life on hold right now, which you may be in some ways, because I am giving 100% of my time to my loved one. And so this is where the guilt comes in, is because you feel bad that you think that way, but you're only human. And that's why you have to find the balance and these three things, these three reasons are why you need to fulfill the things that you need and that you want in your life. So the biggest takeaway I have for you is that finding that balance to fit in what you want and what you need, as well as your loved ones' needs, is super important. And even though your time is restricted, you just need to understand or have a goal for yourself to really be strategic about how am I going to get my time in addition to taking care of my loved one, right? It's a challenge, but listen, if I can do it, you can do it. And it takes twice as much effort, but anything worth having, right, is going to take a lot of effort. So always keep that in mind. Anything worth fighting for or having is going to take extra output on your part. And then you might be asking yourself, you might be saying, well, how do I exert extra output when I already feel like my tank is empty? I already feel burnt out. And this is where your self-care discipline plays a role. This is where your mindset plays a role. This is where boundaries come into play, because if you have all of those things in place, your self-care, a mindset for success, mindset for a self-care discipline, as well as boundaries, then it allows you the room to do the things that I'm like slurring here. It allows you the room to do the things that you want to do for both yourself and for your loved one. But you have to put those things in place. It's not easy. I'll tell you that. It takes daily work. It takes so many different things within the mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual space in order to make it happen. And, there are days where you have to just, like, I have to shut it all down because I feel like there's an imbalance. I feel like emotionally, it's not what I want to feel. And so there's a lot of questions and assessments and things that go into that process of unwinding those feelings and getting to the place where, you want to be, where you're happy doing your role as a caregiver, but you're also fulfilled doing the things that you really want to do in your life. So this is what I want to do. Next week, we are starting an accountability program for people who want to create a strong self-care discipline for themselves. And it's a 90-day program, and I'll give you more information about that program. I just personally have some things that, I have to take care of as far as hopefully discharge tomorrow, that I want to make sure I have all of those things in place in my personal life before I come on and give you all of the details about that program. But we are starting it on the 15th. And so if you are interested in getting more information about that program, I definitely want you to leave a comment below and just say interested, right? Or you can always send me a personal message. You can direct message me at Tawana B. Smith, and I'm happy to have a private conversation with you. But I'm going to continue to come on here and give you examples, like real life examples of what caregiving looks like in terms of raising a family, being a family caregiver, and running a business and having your head on straight, so that I can encourage you, whether you are a caregiver, whether you are whether you are a caregiver, whether you are an overwhelmed business owner and you're, dealing with your family, or you are a high achieving working mom. I want to have a conversation with you, and I want to make sure that you stay encouraged to keep going and doing the things that you want to do while also taking care of your family. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. Sorry for the croaky voice, but it has been a long day, and I can't wait to see you soon. All right. Take care. Bye.